Okay. Alright. At long last, you finally found Zach in Nation Park. Scylla went through a lot of trouble to get him back to Hermitage. Covered in mud, poor Zach was a sorry sight. She even contacted me to put me on the phone in order to reaffirm her made-up story that he had just a little too much drink. Even so, she told me that Jack Star seemed suspicious until the very last second. But of course, it gets worse. Sitting on the couch, I try to think of a way to get rid of that smell that keeps growing increasingly intense on the first floor. It's like a strong sea breeze, swiftly carrying nature's majestic smell across the shores. That's how I'd put it if I had to describe it in poetic terms. Close your eyes, that salty smell might let you think you're at the beachside. But sadly, this isn't a seaside resort. A harbor during the peak fishing season would be a better comparison. Sorry, boss. I try to get everything cleaned up. Don't make any promises yet. Yeah, you know what you're gonna do? I have a feeling 2 cans of mackerel could improve the air here immensely. Wow, you actually eat that stuff? Yep, I specifically ordered it online. I couldn't eat in peace where I was staying before in fear of people sneak up the place. I had to eat it hidden and hunched over in the server room all the time. That's the only place no one apart from me ever visited. Guess I'll have to buy a new school uniform. I've been spending way too much money lately. Sorry about that. Zach's always extraordinarily honest in front of Salil, probably because they've known each other for so long. He doesn't look too well. His shoulders are shaking a little as he lowers his head. Everyone, come back in one. Everyone came back in one piece. That's the most important thing. We'll talk about everything later. You look like you're in pain. Jerica? I'm fine. Just feeling a little groggy, but nothing good rest will fix. Please stop being so impulsive in the future. You won't fix anything, and there are people here who worry about you, you know? Just points to Salil, who smiles apologetically. Her hair is still a little wet. Nico told us when she arrived at the scene, Salil was covered in mud, dirt, from head to toe. All from dragging Zach around. But she and Justin had to come up with a certain way to clean themselves, as to not arouse too much suspicion. Zach's expression suddenly becomes more strained. I don't think it's a matter of just being groggy. Look at yourself. Hey, don't. Nico's eyes are venomous as she stands on tiptoe and shoves Zach's shoulder aside to reveal the side of his neck. There are 3 white marks across the skin, each one being almost the length of an index finger. The skin around the white marks is clean, and it looks like the new tissue that forms after a burn. However, the texture of the white mark itself isn't comparable to burn at all. It doesn't look like injury, but rather... Have you turned to a goldfish? Oh, what a comparison. There's nothing wrong with those marks. I checked them. It's not like there's something strange growing out of them yet. Hold on. Something strange. Care to elaborate? They're probably fish gills or something? How can you just say that without realizing how bizarre it sounds? Oh, the marks there before the day before yesterday. But they were a lot smaller then. That's why I know you noticed. But to make it clear, no touching. I saw some silver on Fag's neck yesterday, but he's in worse shape than I am. His marks had cracked open and were oozing something pink. They opened up whenever he breathed. So, why gills? What's the story? Well, I heard that strange chant in the building. Well, I remembered something. Up in the park. Maybe the reason my scrambled memory goes back further than I thought. What? Are you serious? From what I've gathered, Salil found you near the school entrance, right? Shit, what a mess. I don't even know how it happened or what I did. But then these things appeared in my neck. It must have something to do with whatever those guys are trying to do. You would do well to care a little more about what happens to your body. Just remember what happened to Fatty. That was a full-on transformation. Who says the same thing would happen to you too? But they didn't take him to the building like the others. That's, hard to say. Huh? Let's screw up thing again. Alright, what happened to Zach? Well, we know he entered the building. Even though Zach arrived at Hermitage unscathed, his condition is still a bit strange. I mean, Zach's state is probably important to that. I mean, yeah, there are 2 shallow white marks. I thought they said 3, but maybe they only said 2. I don't know. That doesn't seem relevant yet. His skin is if recovered in fish scales. Probably relevant. Don't think it's relevant yet. Keep fighting here. They don't take kindly to failures. The patient with a failed surgery is left in the scene. For some reason, the room seems to ensure certain memories that make Zach shiver. I like these 3. Really? Okay. The only thing holding Zach back right now are the things he's been through. In fact, based on what happened to Zach yesterday, we may not be the only ones aware of this. But I can get some clues from people who are in the know. Okay, so it probably does like strangers' words here. I don't know what to get rid of. Maybe Zach's state? Keep fighting here, they'll take on a strange. I mean, it's definitely that one. I would imagine. I could get rid of the reunion with Fatty, maybe. Does that make sense? I mean, it could be that as well, like, let's try it. No. Sure, he can move around, but his current state, he's vulnerable. On top of that, something's clearly weird happened to his body. I need to find out more about these anomalies. I mean, that'd be the ring. Yeah, okay. That would have to be the reunion with, Fatty, right? Oh, cool. Alright. Failed transformations. Remember what Zach said. Someone strange spoke to you in the park. Is that so? You'll find out soon enough. Keep fighting, you hear? Don't take kindly to failures. The fact that the person who spoke to Zach found him at his hiding spot with ease tells us a lot already. Don't forget that he was nearly caught before Salil stumbled upon him. Do you think I might have been working with the kidnappers who chased Zach around? Not necessarily, but there has to be some concentration or connection. From what he said, he must know something about what's going on. That's what makes his statement even more intriguing. What does he mean by failure? It's safe to say he's not talking about exams, though this hot-headed fool looks like he's failed his fair share of those. The exact meaning is up for interpretation, but in the most common sense, it would mean a failure to meet certain standards. In other words, someone succeeded where Zach apparently failed. But at what? Maybe something around him being unable to say fatty? That would imply no one succeeded at all. His phrase, however, suggests that someone did, so it has to be about someone else. Maybe they didn't transform like Fatty did? That's possible. Zach still looks the same, apart from those skills, of course. Fatty turned into something almost unrecognizable, so there's a huge difference there. The same thing was done to them, but how come the outcome was different? Fatty's kidnapping might have been at a different time than Zach's. Jeremy only admitted to inviting Fatty along, and Zach wasn't able to reach Fatty that day. So they're both chosen as targets, but why different times? That could be yes. I think that maybe Jeremy thought Zach would come along willingly if he captured Fatty first. So Zach ended up hiding in the park, but things took a turn for the worse there. He saw something that gave him a thorough scare. A possibility occurred to me. Zach always felt lucky to have escaped, but what if he was simply released after being kidnapped, like a couple others have, and couldn't remember because he lost memory? A second theory, yeah. We can't rule it out. After being released, his scarred mind tried to piece things together forcefully, but couldn't. That would make it less strange that Salil found near the school's entrance. Who knows where they drop him off? So even though he's alive and kicking right now, he's been through hell and back? Well, he's not exactly kicking, but yeah, that's just a bit. That's terrible. Are you okay? Does it hurt? A word Salil reaches out and puts her head on Zach's neck, but he turns his head away in embarrassment. His head's fine. It was a little sore yesterday, but that's gone now. So I guess whatever it was stopped. Oops. It didn't look like it stopped last night, at least to me. Maybe it took a little while, or maybe it was that bottle of water. Water? What water? Oh, sorry. Water? What water? Salil, do you see any? Sorry, it was really dark and I wasn't paying attention. It doesn't matter. We have more important things to do right now, don't we? I would say that thing that growing your neck is pretty high up on the list of important things. Please, just this once, I need your help. His expression grows serious as he stands silently before us. He's looking directly at me, no longer trying to avoid eye contact. That's probably a lesson you learned. And I know my actions might not have been the smartest. You could scold me all you want later, but Fatty's still in there right now, and I can't live without my conscience. In a sense, your recklessness could very well be the reason that he's in that situation right now. I know. And he deserves a chance to vent his frustration on me. I think quite a few of us feel like we deserve that chance, seeing how you're dragging us all into this with you. Like I said, please help me. And once it's all over, I don't care about the rest. I'll be your punching bag for life if that's what it takes for you to help me. Okay, hold on right there. Time for a little more self-respect. It's hard to speak as if you don't value your own life. I scratch my head and turn towards the door. There's still many things that are unclear and there's a lot to do. There's no way of tackling the difficult situation ahead without carefully analyzing all information. On top of that, I feel like I've heard that chant Zack described somewhere before. I'll have to look into that. Alright, you going downstairs? Of course, don't tell me you can think straight with that abhorrent smell around you. Said better myself. I'm coming with you.
Me too, guys. Wait for me.
Y'all just gonna abandon... With an incredulous look on her face, Nico looks at us as if we're a bunch of headless chicken running right towards a concrete wall. I ruffle her hair and point a thumb down the hallway. Don't worry, Nico. He may smell like death, but we're gonna save Rebel's life. Do I need a... Okay, so I've got some more books to read. Oh boy, do we have books to read. I don't remember the last two here. There are trace sets of books from it a lot. It looks ancient even though it isn't an original, but just a transcript of it. The whole text is a vertically arranged ballad using simple Chinese characters, with the rhythm, beat, and harmonies added aside. Much of the ballad is about a fantastical being named the Great Mother. She blesses the ships that head out to sea, control all living things in the ocean, and disperses storms and other potentially dangerous waters. That description makes you sound quite optimistic. The ballad has clear instructions on how to ask for her blessing. While asking for whatever it is you want her to help you with, you make a promise to fulfill a certain condition. An example given: "Come to me, Great Mother. Return me safely from the sea. I'll gift you tea. I'll bring you meat. Great Mother in a black dress. Please come to me." Now think about it. One of the songs written in this book sounds just like one that my friend had heard. The book mentions communities in which most fishermen are odd and inadequate, and only their children sing songs to these strangers. If you meet children who sing these songs, make a quick getaway. Because most of these communities are eager to increase their numbers, and they won't hesitate to forcibly abduct travelers. The few abducted people that manage to escape usually come back in a state of extreme confusion, and with a newly developed fear for open waters. This is printed with cheap ink like in the early days. The paper's yellowed, and a group of fishermen with harpoons are shown on the cover, struggling against a creature of tentacles. Although the book style implies that's an analogy of ballads, it contains quite a few folktales, many of them written in a somewhat non-formal way. This casts some doubt in the publisher's professionalism. Most of the ballads and tales in this book originate from coastal areas and contain knowledge related to the seas, such as how to determine the proper time for fishing and how to appropriately judge the weather in order to avoid danger. Each text is accompanied by the corresponding picture, painted in an old-fashioned way by a brush. They contain a variety of sea-related scenery, such as the view from a beach onto the ships at sea. Some of these ballads describe rather dangerous situations, similar to the one depicted on the cover. They also contain some information on how to handle these situations and deal with them in the safest way possible. It seems as if these sinister beings from the sea only appear at certain times. One ballad explicitly mentions specific constellations in the sky. Once fishermen spot these particular arrangements of stars, they would do well to immediately head back to shore. Little paperback novel, the cover's all wrinkled. The malicious binding shows that this is serious literature. The writing style is extremely long-winded and overcomplicated. The sentence structure is quite strange, and you can tell by looking at the text that the translator has work cut out for him. Okay. Yeah, that sounds like this game. The main character of the novel is a man who shares his stories with travelers that occasionally stop by in a bar. The travelers are much more interesting and intriguing than the main character himself, The author never divulges their background. It's up to the reader to decipher where they are from and what they do by how they dress, talk, and act. Among the travelers is a criminal who ends up in a long back-and-forth dispute with the protagonist, arguing over ethics, laws, technology, politics, and... or is that policies? What policies? But yeah, whatever. Policies and other topics until the bar closes. The debates are very philosophical, and every single word carries an astonishing amount of meaning. Although the story apparently takes place at the end of the 19th century, the character's way of thinking is extremely progressive. The story ends with the criminal being shot by a detective who leaves a message to the protagonist. Go home, take a bath, have a glass of whiskey, and forget everything you saw. Believe me when I say that trying to understand yourself 100 years from now will only drive you insane. What appear to be detailed local studies are carefully stapled together. Even with all the care that went into it, it's quite obvious that this isn't a publication. There's no published information whatsoever, and the quality of the print leaves a lot to be desired. Some letters are barely readable. The author seems to educate in the orthodox social sciences. He carefully analyzes the evolution of the Gawain concept in different religions based on local folklore. The author points out that because of the long-term influence of pragmatic folk traditions, the Gawain condition has changed a lot depending on the region. Gawain is less impersonal than other deities. Human traits are associated with her, and there are many legends of her walking among mortals, helping those in need. This makes her seem more real than the other deities. This is why it's easy for people to associate myths and tales with Gawain, or whatever, and incorporate them into their own existing faith. Many primitive concepts that should have long been forgotten were preserved because of this. Although it wasn't the people's intention, the core of these beliefs still lingers because of them. A new bestseller with pompously decorated cover, printed on thick, expensive paper. This is a huge list of names in the back of the book, showing people were involved in its massive advertising campaign. However, the content of the book is actually quite lackluster and cheap. The equivalent of literary fast food. The book emphasizes how the author relies on perseverance and sincerity to make progress and achieve his goals, but never goes into detail about what he actually does or what his thought process is when making these decisions. For the constant boasting in the book, there isn't really any information as to how the author made the first successful financial ventures. Without his high seed capital, he would never have gotten to where he is now. Unlike many other supposed rich people writing lifestyle guides and self-help book like this, he is very secretive and ambiguous about where his money comes from and how he got his big chance. It's all a very sudden and unexpected rags to riches kind of story. That's probably managed to become so popular. People eat up this sort of thing. An academic report, because we're going to put academic reports in this bookstore, because why not at this point? Judging by the Chinese-English bilingual title, it could very well be the result of a cross-border, multinational academic study, especially given the name of these two authors. The researchers claim to belong to the French School for Advanced Studies in the Social Sciences, the EHESS. But the writing style and structure don't quite fit the characteristics of that institution. Also, the researchers don't seem to be well known in their respective countries. Putting aside their questionable factors, the report itself is rather exciting. Through extensive field research, the authors demonstrate the extent to which the various migration theories of the past fit into China's local context, using a sophisticated and practical approach, which is very elegant in its academic presentation. The authors' arguments are actually quite appalling. They argue that, had normal migration patterns been followed, the south of the country would have exerted a greater influence on cultural traditions. Yet the facts they found state the exact opposite. After taking all the possible reasons into consideration, common assumptions are dismissed, leaving only one desert possibility. In ancient times, at least 10 settlements in the south simply vanished, strongly diminishing the South's cultural sphere of influence. Even the authors themselves say that they were highly skeptical of all of it at first, but the study leaves no other possible conclusion. Romney said in his Amendium? Whatever. Romney said at the end of the book that for the first time ever in social studies, he felt somewhat excited but also frightened, suddenly uncovering the existence of imaginary numbers and tampering with history. An old book with no title. Because why would a book have a title? The notebook is about 2 fingers thick with a leather surface covered in dirt. It looks like it's been used for decades. The entire content of the notebook is written in German, and there are obvious traces that these parts of it were erased. The author wrote down various formulas, instructions, and statements in a poem-like structure. The notebook really spelled that good, but I can't exactly tell what the stench exactly is. Then, whatever. Okay. Is that 3 new Call of Cthulhu books? Well, this is in the wrong order, isn't it? Let's... Alright, we did this one, didn't we? Yeah, we did this one. Volume 2 of the Cthulhu Mythos. Carrying on the style of the previous book, the cover depicts a scene from At the Mountains of Madness. It came out 1 year after the first volume's release, indicating that the first one sold very well. The book includes At the Mountains of Madness, The Shadow over Innsmouth, then The Rats in the Walls, and The Shadow Out of Time. Stories about the ancient Great Ones and explorers caught up in their incomprehensible schemes. At the Mountains of Madness suggests that there are an ice-covered ancient cities in Antarctica, and that the Shoggoths, and that the keyboard smash are living there, created by the Elder Things to be their servants, but they turned against their creatures and killed them. The Shadow of Innsmouth tells the story of a young man who explores a strange seaport town out of curiosity. He escapes after discovering the villagers' horrible secrets, unaware that he's already one of them due to his bloodline. Beginning the last part of The Shadow Out of Time, the lower left corner of the page has black marks in it. They grow larger into each page and ultimately spawn up to the complete last page. The translator is still Yao Zhenghua. Volume 3 of the Cthulhu Mythos. It was only recently released, and there's an image of Nyarlathotep on the cover. It's just, there is so many fake words. You're just randomly combining letters together and making it sound like a word. I'm sure that translates from like Chinese to English that way, or something of that nature. Maybe that means something in French, or I don't know, Italian. I don't know. But like, come on. Give me something I can pronounce, please. Alright. Maybe it's just me, but it seems as if the myth of Cthulhu has become increasingly popular in the last few years. Why did people start pursuing these dark secrets, even though they were obviously meant to be left alone? Pixel Model, Natharlep, The Outsider, The Dreams in the Witch House. The collection is even more more than the average reader can handle. There have been many times when I've seen someone on the subway reading a Cthulhu's Mythos book. And some people even use the Necronomicon logo as an accessory. Will reading these stories gradually convince people that they are true? What if they aren't fiction? I just want the world to remain a normal, sane place. A normal, sane place where there's a gargoyle dragon that drags a person up to the sky, crashes them down, and both of them are alive, and who can take apparently their human mother and drag them away, where bridges just randomly, spontaneously combust. A place where a monster come out of a corner of the wall and attack you because you're high. Yep, that is a normal place that I like to live in. Alright, let's play the video game here. Alright, let's get started. What exactly did we come down here for? Just talk? To analyze the situation as best we can. You know how the saying goes. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need to not fear the result of 100 battles. Blind rushing in there is bad, yeah, obviously. We need to also get a good grasp of their movement patterns and their patrol rotations. We wouldn't want to run straight to their arms. Their patterns and rotations? We have to be honest with ourselves. We don't really know much more than the fact that there's something evil going on in that place. Asking the people who are being held inside would be very difficult. Could you two please quit your pessimistic attitude? If we think hard enough, we're bound to figure out a way to pull us all off. You're right. We need to think about this until we've exhausted other possible ideas. If you ask me, there are two very important questions that we should come first. Who exactly are they, and what are they trying to do? I mean, that's very obvious, isn't it? They chase people down, kidnap them, and then turn them into those nasty abominations. Having seen with my own eyes should be proof enough of that, right? But how do you know who they actually are? And why are they turning people into those scary things? No, I don't, but why should I? Because no more know about them, and how they operate, and what their intentions are, the better we prepare and take them on. I'm proof of how we get full preparation can play the outcome. If Store Manager had found out exactly what the Gargoyle's ability to... how that worked, I'd be orbiting the Earth as space trash right now. What? The long story, forget it. I'll tell you some other time. That brings us to our second question. And one thing's clear at least. We know where they're holed up, but the better we know exactly what they're planning, the easier it'll be for us to find the right kind of distraction so we can sneak in. Am I right? Yeah. At least somewhat makes sense. Then what's your take on all this? Let me think about it for a second. Next, there was a group of people in the buildings. Who exactly are they? That is a good question. I feel like that's relevant, but... who exactly are they? Well, if we're talking about turning him into a fish, I would agree with that book. And I think it's only going to be one of the books here. That might be relevant. Maybe there are some that vanished. I wouldn't see how that's possible, but maybe. The restaurant definitely doesn't need that many employees. This group of villagers is involved. I would agree with that. And troublemakers, maybe? Nope. No, that can't be right. Zach saw places in eyes. He saw it firsthand. Insight should help us figure out more about their background. Whatever they're doing is extremely unusual and unique. Approach it from that angle might allow me to look for more information in a more focused manner. Time to think outside the box. Okay. Our skill, technique advanced. They are unworthy. That's hard to believe in light of recent failures. I mean, it's gonna be this book. It's gotta be that book. From surgery on people, the patient failed. Surgery was actually left at the scene for some reason. The room seems to conjure up certain memories that Zach had make him shiver. Right, because that was done on Zach. Our skill technique advanced. That's not relevant. I don't think it's gonna be any of the books. I hate all of these. So that's obviously not it. So it could be this one. I mean, that tells us I mean, I guess their disguise, how they're hiding in the world, doesn't tell us who exactly they are. That's what they're imposing as. That I don't really know how to decipher. Our skill technique advanced. They are unworthy. That's hard to believe in light of recent failures. I mean, that describes them failing the surgery. Why not? foreign What? Well, I thought I understood why that might have been it. Now I don't. Whatever. Alright, let's continue on here. Maybe, we'll have Nico explain it to us. This could consider a breakthrough of sorts. We mustn't limit ourselves to the concept of human morals and thought process. If torturers aren't human, we need to look at everything from a totally different angle. What's hidden in that building, and what is their grand plan? Nope, he didn't explain anything to us. Oh boy. The actual reason for the kidnappings. Like I know. Sure. That doesn't give us a reason, does it? Let's say if I get back Hermitage, what to do? Zach's symptoms of his appearance are identical in character, judging by what the stranger told him. Zach did not escape, but his body simply failed to transform since abandoned. Okay. The group currently lurking in unknown communities singing the songs Zach heard inside the building. Even though there weren't any children around as mentioned in the book, the word odd-looking describes the group perfectly. They're said to be dangerous, isolated, and eccentric, and desperate to increase their numbers. I mean, that's a good enough reason for me. I don't think it's me a book. I can't see it being a book. So what's left? Oh, the rest of their books. Okay. Let's just throw a third conclusion in there. I feel like I'm playing Phoenix Wright. Oh boy, but at least Phoenix Wright makes more sense. What do you mean foreign visitors is your answer? Wasn't that already... What? What? That was already a conclusion. We've concluded our conclusion. What? Okay. Alright, I will never call a Phoenix Wright game just completely random again. Good God. Alright. If I'm just right, they're probably trying to create more of those things. Increase their numbers of their companions. Companions, huh? I have to admit, Fast Transformation was a drastic one, and he looked very different. Still, it was nothing compared to the thing that waltzed into the room later on. How come there's such a big difference? They probably can't afford to be too picky about their creations anymore. I have a transcript here. It's the chant that dead number on your mind the other day. According to the records in the book, the chant was decided by a group of very odd-looking non-humans. They're described as having an insatiable drive to increase their numbers by any means, though they eventually become largely extinct. They abducted innocent people, many of them returned, though in a traumatized and fearful state, miss their memories. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? So you're saying that's who? They're hiding in and operating out of that building, using surgical procedures to forcibly transform people into their own kind. They even disregard their failures without any second thought or attempt to hide anything, meaning that it's only a matter of time until they end up under the law's radar. They keep going. No second thought, huh? You're right, they're working fast. There's been a huge spike kidnappings in the south parts of the city. We cannot accept. Now, This is a pretty sweet deal. You don't find any other place around here as suited to your cause as this one. This has nothing to do with those. Our skill, technique advanced. They are unworthy. It's hard to believe in light of recent failures. Oh yeah? You're not gonna treat them the same as us, are you? Everyone here seems to be local. There are never any new faces. You talk a lot. You play with fire. Anyway, the prophecy is what it is, and it's up to you to believe it or not. It's been almost half a month since we've seen the drug supplier from the Eastern District, and the Visionary Society members will be leaving the city soon. That should work in your favor. You'll stay on path, won't you? Or have you lost the courage to do great things? Picture of Zachary in that building. Something must have pushed them to hurry things up. They are clearly willing to take far greater risks. They just want to increase numbers and costs. Sounds like a war brewing to me. Who knows? All I know for sure is that if we keep letting them operate, there'll be more victims. Yeah, this is tricky. If they're really working on such a major project, our chances are getting smaller by the second. Not much left to say, is there? You guys hadn't figured out amongst yourselves. I don't give a rat's ass about any of that. I'm gonna get Fatty out of there with or without you.
Zach? Please don't.
Forget it. It's against my principles to let any of those people go free. Count me in. For real? Well, that's, thanks a lot. No need to thank me, I'm just trying to do the right thing. Now, let's get, about our first step. You guys need pleasantries after this is over. Guys, we got work to do. Well said. I open the book and pull up the enlarged blueprints of the Saint building. It's very clear and concise information. I really don't think about how Nico got her fingers on it, since most certainly involved hacking some classified database. The print is small and hard for us to gather around and get a good look at. A store as old-fashioned as Hermitage naturally has no large printer at its disposal. The others watch me without saying much. Nico frowns, but that's just her temper. She knows the situation and accepts it. This time round, our goal is simple. Enter the building and get Fatty out safely. Ideally, we can free others that have been kidnapped. We may not be able to escort them personally, but maybe we can create a window of opportunity so that things skip on their own. We're outnumbered, and the building is going to be packed with those goons who won't be happy to see us. We don't know if there are more people transformed and what traits they might have, so our safe bet is to avoid direct confrontation. We also need to think about a quick escape route. I've seen how many of them there are with my own eyes. We really need to find a way around them. It's a difficult situation. We might be able to handle it if it's just them, but as soon as instant bystanders get involved, the situation will turn chaotic in the blink of an eye. Huh? What makes you think that? I think about it. If there's only them, we can anticipate their actions. They work in secret, so they can't afford ending up on the front page of a newspaper. That means they definitely won't chase us down the street out in the open. You're right, but the same rules don't apply to gang members who keep swarming the place. I should go on my own. I know those guys operate. Also, you're here for a reason, right? Try to stay out of sight. In that case, we don't want to draw my attention to this place. Take it easy. There's no need for you to do a suicide mission. We'll find a way. The main problem is getting people out. Getting in there through the restaurant's the easy part, but a few dumb thugs and cronies in there. So it'll help me find the control room. I'll be able to do some jamming and provide support, but only if you don't get spotted, of course. Even if you take only Fatty with you, that track shoot won't be an option. Not enough space. But if you take another way, you'll be spotted once you're on the ground level, alright? We can think of a way to distract people inside the building. Any ideas?
How about we light fire in the restaurant?
Wait, what? Here's such idea from Salil takes me by surprise. Wow, that chill.
I'm thinking about that they might all rush the restaurant that way. Then we could use the building's back entrance to escape. along with everybody who's being held captive in there. Thing is, the way to the restaurant is the same we'd be using to take the building's back entrance. It's too risky. And let's not forget the restaurant is merely a cover, so who knows how effective it would be.
Yeah, and if we go through with it, there's no quitting, Will.
Yeah, we'll have to do better than that.
Right.
I'm serious. That building's overly complicated, and word structure is already going to slow us down to a certain degree. If we give them time to react, they might have the chance to hide any evidence. We need something to think big. Something that catches them so off guard that they don't have any time to react.
So you just want to get rid of the... So you just want to get rid... You just want to... Oh, rid them. There's no get there. Okay. So you just want to rid them of any chance to kill all the followers with one stone?
That's not really how the metaphor goes, but yeah, I guess you get the idea.
Okay, and what you have in mind?
A fire. A big one. You know, they won't want the fire department to keep around their base operations.
It's not that easy to set a building on fire, and to make matters more difficult, there aren't any flammable things around that space. I'm familiar with your tactics. I thought for a second that you could pull it off, even if it's difficult to do. But let's not forget that country taste is their place. There is a regular office space further up. You can't just burn off the ground.
Oh, Justy, you big dummy. You're an adult. You should have learned how to use your brain by now. You little... Anyway, you tell me you somehow stumbled across a miraculous alien technology that can set fires without causing actual damage? I am in fact using my brain, and you're not making a bit of sense.
You want to use smoke bombs? I can see Justin is overwhelmed by Nico's intimidating assault on his IQ, and his brain's hard at work, so I asked Nico directly.
Yes, finally fucking understands me, jeez. There's no need to set an actual fire. It's enough to make it look like, a bigger threat it's enough to make it look like one to make the threat appear real. If the smoke is visible from the outside, it'll only be a matter of time before someone calls the fire department.
And while they're trying to figure out what's going on, there'll be enough time for us to go about our business undetected. It's a good idea, but one question remains.
How do we get our hands on smoke bombs? No worries, I have my ways.
Nico sighs. The situation right now calls for her smug expressions, but the look she gives us is the exact opposite.
I could find smoke bombs, but...
Hey, why are you still looking at me like that? Nico ignores Zach's panic question to pose one of her own.
Zach, how far are you willing to go to save Fatty?
Night is falling. There's a warm, calm evening breeze, but it's hard for the three of them to remain relaxed right now. Nervousness lies in the air. Salil stares at how narrow the back entrance of the Sajane building is. It's an intimidating sight for sure, and one that makes it hard for her to gather the necessary courage. She hasn't changed her outfit, a fact that could prove to be quite advantageous. People won't get suspicious of her too easily. Phoenix High students enjoy a good reputation. Even if she's out late, most people won't bat an eye. Appearances, along with the right arguments, can open many doors. Something Salil has learned from watching Scarlet, the master trickery worker magic. Sure, there'll be a risk factor involved, but right now, Salil and Nico probably have the safest roles to play. 30 minutes ago, Nico sabotaged the troll network responsible for the water infrastructure. By causing a small power outage, she has effectively cut off the building's water supply for the time being. Within 5 minutes, an anxious and impatient complaint call was made inside the building. Nico easily intercepted it, transferring it to Salil shortly after. Before long, fake maintenance workers were dispatched. Although the call passed for a regular complaint about an outage, the person placed the call was audibly anxious. This is a good opportunity. Let's hope nothing unexpected comes up. Everything's has been going according to plan until now. Still, Salil can't help but worry about the other's safety once they head inside as maintenance workers.
Country taste, and all floors of the 4th floor are being supplied by the state water company. Pipes are customized and specifically adjusted over a period of 3 months. One of the demand specifications struck me as particularly interesting. They require the drainage pipes to be sufficiently salt resistant, on the grounds that fish and other seafood produce wastewater with a really high salt count. A regular restaurant would not have had that high of demand on a daily basis, and even established 3 or 4 times size wouldn't ask for this kind of drainage modification. It's the first time I've heard of something like this.
So, the demand based on seafood wastewater is just a cover, and they require it for other reasons?
I've got an idea, one that we can use to safely enter the building under false pretensions.
Things intel suggests that the corridors inside are extremely tight, with the windows that are never opened. This, along with the lack of proper air conditioning, makes a perfect spot for a device to generate smoke. Zack and Justin need to find a way to quickly get rid of their, or at least lose the people escorting them inside. Afterwards, they split up and set up the smoke devices that Nico prepared previously, strategically placing them in a way that will quickly fill the corridors with an overwhelming amount of smoke. Nico didn't accompany Salil, having set herself up in an adjacent building instead to observe the footage from the cameras Salil planted in the surveillance room. This approach is similar to the one she and Justin previously employed, and it allows her to quickly alert everyone by phone should she spot any sudden change to the cameras. Although it's a good plan in theory, it doesn't reduce the danger Zack and Justin might have to face.
Alright, here goes nothing.
Salil hides in the shadows and quietly recites a small prayer for the safety of her friends.
That's all you got?
Seems unresponsive. Just kicks the limp body laying in front of him, casually. The waiter's lying on the ground, clearly motionless. His face looks cramped and rigid, with strong, overly defining facial muscles spun up underneath his skin. Him being unconscious makes it look even more bizarre. Justin can't help but think that it makes much sense for such ugly things to hide themselves away from the shadows, far away from people from the public's praying eyes. Something or someone has definitely changed these people. What exactly is going on here? Nobody with an ounce of entrepreneurial sense would hire someone like that as a waiter. That almost proof that this guy can't have always looked like that. Now is not the right time to think about it, though. There are much more pressing matters at hand that need to be taken care of swiftly.
The store manager has some effective drugs. Haven't seen anything work like that well before.
I think it's some kind of tranquilizer laced with small amounts of lilac grass. It smells strongly of organic solvents. What do you guys use usually? Trazolom? Sure, trazolom.
Huh? What's that?
That didn't sound like an English word.
I expect that much from you. My fault.
Sweet of you. Here, tie this up. Thanks. Zack face adjusted and shakes his sore arm. Handling someone who weighs as much more than you isn't easy. Still, this is something of the mission. Justin looks at the device tied to Zack's waist and pulls one out from his own pocket. It looks like a regular oxygen inhalation device, but the X tubes are haphazardly bound to it with duct tape and strangely colored liquids inside that don't exactly look inviting. There's no sugarcoating in it. Thing's a dirty bomb. Right down to the improvised fuse, Justin decides to tuck it away again and hide it until time comes to actually use it.
I built some goodies for you. Pulling the fuse will cause a reaction in the tubes. Generating gases will fill up the bottles. Interaction when they mix will generate heat. A catalyst to speed up the process. I'm a genius at work, trust me. As soon as the pressure reaches a certain level, the solution side will react and create massive amounts of smoke at a rate you can't even imagine. More than enough to keep people inside from finding their way out. Also, a little bonus by yours truly. This gas is tear-inducing. I remember hearing that these weirdos inside have huge eyes, so it should definitely come in handy.
Is that strong? How'd you come up with it?
I guess they consider it a little overkill. I found the instructions on some shady foreign website. If the mixture is off by a tiniest bit, there'll be a pretty huge chemical explosion, not just smoke. See, hearing stuff like that reminds me of why I always failed chemistry class. No sane person would ever think handling something this dangerous. Sane? Of course. What I really meant to say is that it always depends on the person, obviously. That's the textbook of a really fucking bad save right there. Anyway, I never usually consider using something like this dangerous, but the situation calls for this. Did you have to go through a lot of trouble to make them? No, at least not in comparison to what you're about to go to. You're the ones facing real trouble. Huh? Do you know why I made the store manager send Salil away before giving those to you? If she knew what this was, she would never agree to any of this. It's highly volatile in the wrong hands. Say, for example, in those of hot-headed young idiots who lack self-control. Ouch, I have feelings too. Anyway, although the amount of smoke it produces is highly ridiculous, there is one major weakness. It does emit smoke straight right up from the get-go. There is a built-in timer. The first mixing reaction needs to be autonomously heated for about 120 seconds for providing enough pressure. Any faster than that will result in the next thing being a straight-up explosion. But if it's too slow, the catalyst for a second reaction wouldn't be powerful enough. Before I pull a fuse, you've got nothing to worry about. Play volleyball with it for all I fucking care. But as long as you start mixing things together, avoid bouncing, tossing, shaking, wobbling, whatever for 120 seconds, you're gonna have fireworks right off in your face. Meaning we have to factor in 2 minutes before we want the smoke out of the place? Sadly, there's no other way. Nothing else is effective and small enough for you to carry in covertly. So you have to work with it. I realize it might be difficult, but you have to find a way to protect it and hold on to it. Hold out for 2 minutes. 2 minutes doesn't sound like a lot, does it? But suddenly it seems like a lot longer to me than it should. Well, I don't know. Still around 2 hours, so whatever. Why is there this sudden optimism? It's weird. Well, nervousness is really the only thing that can mess things up for us now. And I've kind of learned my lesson the last 2 days, you know. That makes sense. I guess just make sure to stay alert. Just check surroundings and peek through the door of the water room. The water room is the only place no one would check. The corridor is empty, silent, and no sign of life at all. Yo, Justy. I can't even call me that. That's reserved for girls and grandparents. What is it? Heart to heart, bro. Why do you do this? Why are you so hell-bent on getting involved? You and the others. Nah, screw it. It's not my business. You don't want to talk about it. Cool by me. Nah, it's not that. It's just hard to find the right words. The store manager told me about Salil and what she went through, her torment, and how she almost fell a victim to an otherworldly, malicious creature. The things Salil saw, experienced made it clear to her that more trouble would cause to follow. She also seemed to care about you, so her involvement in this doesn't come as a surprise. That girl. Even though I haven't seen her in them 2 years. Damn, that's sweet. I leave it to you to figure that out. I couldn't possibly understand how your mind works. Anyway, it's a similar case with Nico. She and Star Manager share a lot of history, and from what I know, she's been through a lot. She knows stakes, and that's why she's worried and wants to help. Sounds like heavy stuff, huh? I get why there's no time for details right now, but I'll have to ask the others about it once we're all back to the store again. They had it rough. Trying to save others just as much as they're trying to save themselves. So, what about you? Are you as simple as them? I am now, but you're right. I do have my own reasons that drive me, personal ones that I wouldn't expect you to understand. Is that so? That expression comes to certain. It's a bad idea to dwell on a topic any further, not right for such a crucial moment. Just know that right now, those guys are the best to have in your corner. I trust them with my life, so do what you want to this or wait around some more. Alright then, let's go. We got backstage tonight. We sure do.
Let's make the best of it. Force yourself not to look back, just pushes up the door alongside Zack and steps into the dark, quiet corridor. Darkness stretched out in front of him, with only a faint overhead light illuminating from the hallway. Zack's mind flashes back to what happened yesterday. In crucial moments like this, it's smart to try and suppress your own thoughts and fears as best you can. Sadly, it's never easy. Yo, Nico, Justin. The connection to Nico immediately cuts out upon entering the corridor. Way too foreboding for Zack's taste. There's no other way of establishing contact. Zack pinched himself to regain focus and to rid himself of some of the worries that are plaguing him right now. Maybe there's someone or something waiting in the darkness. Maybe there isn't. No matter what, your paired is of the utmost importance. Zack knows exactly what he's doing and what he came here for. Click. Just like that, the door to that twisted maze of unknown horrors opens. Let's save before I mess this up. I was not expecting to actually have to move around. I mean, can we go in here? It's locked. Okay. It's locked, okay. The door is closed, but there is a small set of keys by the door handle. He inspects the room again. The interior has been restored, and all the furniture has been moved back to its old position, as if yesterday's fight never happened. Zack's frustrated, but at the same time realizes that finding Fatty in this room might actually not be a good thing. Zack takes the keychain by the door. 2 keys are attached to the slightly rusty metal ring. Better take so long, it might come in handy. Let's see if any of the doors can be opened. Yeah, it just doesn't seem right. Zack searches the key he found, but seems to get stuck about halfway through. It looks like this is not the right key for the door. Same dialogue. Okay, I guess we gotta go to the, question mark in the south. This seems the right place. Zack inserts the key found and opens the door. Just lucky enough to have not run into anybody along the way. He has spotted a few cameras while sneaking about, but luckily they are being controlled by a childish master hacker. By now, his trust is in Nico has reached its unmeasurable heights. It's almost too quiet in here. The strange silence is covering his surroundings, and even the echo of his footsteps seems unusually dull. Justin suspects that the entire floor is insulated, but has no way of confirming that right now. In any case, the plan remains the same. Justin walks on and carefully runs his hand back along the wall to maintain a sense of direction. The door is absolutely massive, and Justin has never seen a keyhole shaped like that before. He tries to probe the lock with his wire, but can't feel anything. He takes a closer look at the keyhole. He can see a lot of dust gathered around it. He puts some on his finger and analyzes it carefully. It's just wall plaster, like one around this room. How come there's so much of them in the keyhole? There really shouldn't be. Since he's dealing with shady people, he realized that they might have something to hide. The keyhole could be hidden in a nearby wall. Without the magic key, there's no way up this door, no matter what. It's locked. A key is stuck in the keyhole, but just can't move the handle. He violently jerks back and forth a couple times, but it seems they're right. Looks like someone got the wrong key, but why? Puzzled, just takes out the key and puts it in his pocket. There has to be a key that actually fits. Huh? This wall seems to be made of different material. Something's in here. Just slides his hand along the wall and finds a slightly elevated rough edge. It's a relatively simple secret compartment underneath a piece of wood covered in wall plaster. From the shape of it, it's made to conceal larger objects. There's no such thing inside, though. Instead, there's a small key and notebook that, by the looks of it, must be pretty old. There's no time to waste now. Just takes the old notebook as well as the key with him. Okay. Seems the right one. The key from the hidden compartment fits perfectly. Justin pushes open the door and enters the room. Just searched the north line, found nothing. Okay. Huh? What's this? There's no key in the cupboard. Just takes out the key. He has a pocket, compares two shapes. They are probably using the same lock cylinder configuration, but they're clearly of different make. Time to go back and have a look. This seems the right one. The key from the hidden cupboard fits the compartment perfectly. Just pushes open the door and enters the room. After entering the room, just instantly notice how cramped and tight everything is. This room appears to be much smaller than one before. Judging by the design, this one should be bigger. Wait, is that... As he expects, a small door is embedded in the wall on the eastern side of the room. Like the paint on the wall, it appears to be much newer than everything else around it. Except this room for the others, but why? Justin is mystified, but the investigation has continued. He takes the last key he hasn't used so far and slides into the keyhole. Smooth as silk. Justin gently pushes open the door and heads further into the dark unknown. Another room with something going on inside. An unexpected turn of events. Just taken by surprise, but luck is outside. There's only one person who is asleep by the door. Justin slowly and carefully sneaks up on him, and immediately notices the unusually ugly and deformed face. The outline of his body looks off, with only bizarre, non-human contours visible in the dark. His features are distorted, with every facial muscle much more dominant than a regular human. His eyes are bulging as he was trying to escape their sockets, and upon close inspection, just notices a pair of fish gills underneath the breathing man's ears. This hybrid of a fish and man is somehow not as strange as a sight as fantasy literature might be believed. Quite on the contrary, the combination actually looks weirdly harmonious. How could that be? The revelation only unnerves Jesse even more. Such crude, abnormal hybrids and combinations of things that aren't meant to be mixed can easily provoke fear, or make one aware of one's own physical inferiority. These feelings, however, pose no problem for Justin, who has learned from the past experiences not let something like that get to him. There's something similar on Zack's neck, and Justin can hope that the white marks are really evidence that the change has been reversed without any further consequences. Justin reaches his pocket and pulls out the tranquilizing mixture the store manager prepared him. He holds it closer to the dowsing fisherman's nose and watches smoke slowly rise and seeps into his nostrils. The snoring grows louder. The fisherman's breathing becomes deeper and more intense. His large body's need for air is immense, and law of nature, even his strange deformities don't change. Justin covertly walks up to the window and pulls open the curtain on one side. A residual ray of the sun setting shoots straight into his eyes, an unexpected, dizzying shock for his senses, and otherwise almost pitch-black environment. A soft breeze from the air vent above him blows through his hair, unconsciously causing him to relax. Justin gives a quiet and relieved sigh, feeling as if luck is finally on his side for once. Shortly thereafter, he pulls a smoke bomb and prepares it carefully. Alright, that's done. Who are you? Oh crap. What Zack sees after opening the door makes him gasp and shudder for a moment. At first glance, it looks like an actual hospital. Countless beds are neatly arranged next to one another, with their white sheets shining particularly bright in the dim moonlight, making the whole thing even more creepy. IV bottles are dangling from the sides of each bed. The liquid inside of each of them has a strange color, although barely visible in the dark. The sheets on the beds are bulging, and it's not hard to imagine what's hidden underneath. The smell of salt lies in the air, and Zack's stomach churns at the realization of what the custom pipe modifications building were required for. Even though he's had it hard in life, he can't help but think that all these people lying here are so much more unfortunate than him. Zack quietly walks past the hospital beds, the heavy breathing of the patients audible all around him. Their skin has a silky, moist sheen, almost seems to be dissolving. As the liquid drips and courses through an unconscious man's body, Zack starts panicking a little, bothered by the fact that what he's witnessing right now are so many lives about to end forever. He's reminded of Fatty. There are many people clearly undergoing some sort of transformation, gradually turn themselves into something non-human. The crowded tight space, in addition to the darkness, makes the room stretch out for what feels like infinite dimensions. He can't see where the room ends, and he can't stop thinking about what life will be like for these people as the procedure's finished. Zack's confident that if Justin's endeavor turned out to be a success, he could sneak Fatty out of the building, under the cover of smoke. However, seeing all these people here and the sheer number of them, his optimism in the mission is shattered. To save one or all, proceed as planned, or face the unknown, and all the consequences that come with it. It's hard for Zack to think about that. Either way, lives are at stake. To hell of it. If we go down, we all go down together. Zack doesn't want any lives on his conscience, and a thought that drives him forward. A small-time thug who's not even sure how the hell he managed to survive himself so far. How could he possibly know how to reverse these transformations? These people get freed, where could they hide? Zack's mind's racing, and he isn't coming with any answers. One thing that he knows is that everything's covered in smoke, and the firefighters arrive. He won't be leaving this place by himself, that's for sure. The tear gas effect of the smoke might cause problems later, but ultimately, it won't matter if the gang members are knocked out by or discovered by the firefighters. Both outcomes have the same result. There is no clear answer to this. Some things can be pulled off, and some can't. Even if you do your best, it's that simple. Zack inhales deeply, opens the window on one side. The cold wind dries the sweat covering his face. He's already convinced he'll regret this decision. A life mistake has taught him that, and he knows he's diving straight into the unknown, heading for an uncertain future. However, he's fully aware of what he's doing. Sorry guys, but this is me. This is what I'm good at. Taking one last deep breath, he starts banging loudly against the door. Go! Everyone! Wake the hell up! You hear me? Wake up! The real adventure is just starting. Holy shit. What the fuck is that fool doing? The sounds come from above, pull Justin up short. This is part of the plan. Justin can hear Zack shout in the distance. They are right in the middle of the hornet's nest. What does he think he's doing, drawing so much attention to himself? The plausible explanation just come up with is that Zack has finally lost his mind. Hey, what's up with him? He's locked up in the east entrance of the hospital bed, and is piling up boxes on their side. Everyone's gotten up from the beds by now. Many have vanished, and a few are helping Zack move things. He hasn't deployed smoke bombs yet, but hell. I'm far too late to clearly make out what's going on. What is that fucking idiot doing? It's like he's trying to make himself available for target practice or something. Although this decision is undoubtedly stupid, Justin is starting to understand Zack's reasons. With the corridors and passages throughout the building being as tight and narrow as they are, you have to make sure to keep the path clear in case of evacuation. Sitting off and controlling the intersections means you can prevent more people from escaping without a lot of effort. That being the case, it would be best for Zack to be the one in control. He could take care of all of the bad guys and then safely get out once smoke dissipates, which is why he needs to attract as much attention as possible. It's a surefire recipe for chaos, that much clear. Saving so many people at once is only possible if the enemies are scattered and their position is disrupted. That's pretty typical for Zack. Nobody else at Hermitage would have ever come up with a plan that reckless, and even if, it would have been discarded quickly for being way too dangerous. All this might just help complete his task. With nobody there to interrupt him, smoke is already spreading throughout the room. Everything is working as intended, just as Nika promised. The sheer amount of smoke is a clear indication that something big's about to go down. If there was one last chance to abort or withdraw, this is it, but Justin sees no intention of quitting. Nico. How many of them are there? What can I expect?
3 guys, a couple of the big ugly ones. Coming from downstairs from the west side. I can't tell you much more. I don't know what's going on inside.
Roger that.
East it is then. Hold on right there, smartass. Where do you think you're going? East is the other way.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
You guys are simply... you know what? I don't even care. Whether you come out or not, I'm gonna have to call 911 eventually. There's no way around it. It's better to be caught alive than found dead.
I know, it's fine. Justin shrugs upon realizing that Nika must have hung up. He further ventures further into the shadows of the hallway.
Alright, now to find a way to push on further.
Zack wipes and swipe off his forehead. This situation is still in control. With the east entrance tightly blocked off, the heavy beds used as an improvised blockade are held up nicely under the pounding and pushing coming from the other side of the door. Amidst the knocking, occasional cusses and swears can be heard, but luckily it takes more foul language to break through the barrier this robust. Zack only hears one voice beyond the door, so yelling knocks and pushes might be coming from more of those hybrid creatures. That may or may not have been brainwashed, but that really doesn't matter at the moment. The only thing for certain is that they're posing a great threat. They can just keep at it. Even if Zack has known about it from the very beginning, this one door probably won't be able to keep them out forever. Zack has some of the victims who are having experienced on to thank for how robust this impromptu barrier has turned out. Shortly after waking up, they quickly help Zack earth the barrier, moving about the heavy hospital beds, and they have been caught in an unfortunate predicament. True. But in this case, at least their physical superiority has come in handy, allowing things to move that Zack could never push to place on his own. More and more of them are waking up every second, many rattled awake by their fellow companions. The smoke Justin has created below accelerates the process. Even though only a fraction has made its way through the air vents so far, the smoke is causing many who just woke up to cover their mouths and wave their arms to attempt to disperse it. Their moist skin seems to be particularly sensitive to chemicals, as many of them can barely keep their eyes open and are breathing heavily, wheezing with discomfort. Even under such circumstances, people listen to Zack's orders and holding their positions, fiercely pushing to keep the door closed off. Zack is inspired by their will to survive, and grateful for their assistance, yet he can't help but notice that his pal Fatty is nowhere to be seen. Maybe Justin's already found him? With no way to contact Justin, Zack's hope for the best.
You better get out of there. You better be somewhere. Be smart, Fatty.
Worrying about that is useless now, especially with more pressing matters at hand. There's an increased commotion on the east side, with more footsteps quickly approaching.
4 of them.
4 men to be precise, on the east side. The regular footsteps are intermingled with this nasty sound of heavy, sticky footsteps. Must be around 3 more of those things. The wall is also being hit with a metal object. Most likely some sort of steel rod or knife. Things could be worse, but really not a whole lot.
They're here.
Zack and his newfound companions clench their fists in anticipation. The tension reaches new heights. They really are still human. Zack feels a lot better about the decision himself. The sound of bodies tackling the doors rings out from both sides at the same time, but Zack knows the situation on the other side is under control. The door on the west side has been fully blocked. Instead, they deliberately left just enough space for intruders to break through. He has already pulled the fuse of the smoke bomb. In just 2 minutes, everything will start to fill up with smoke. causing a big enough commotion to enable escape from the building. The alerted enemies have to be cleared. The activated smoke bomb has to be protected at all costs. It's a pretty bold plan. In order to get everyone out of there safely, Zack has to win a lot of time and delay the enemies. It won't be easy. Oh boy, minigame. Zack and the people trapped with him are in good physical condition, hide in the small corner of the room next to the entrance. It's a strategy picked up on street fights. There are always so many spots for them who will last look rushing into the room while still with adrenaline. Breaking the line of sight and attack from the back in an unexpected moment. That's Zack's plan. Many of the people he woke up have completely exhausted themselves already, leaving Zack just key to companions who still have energy enough to fight. Every forceful push and knocking against the door makes it clear to Zack how much stronger these enemies are physically. This isn't a fair fight, and one that can only be won by employing cheap and dirty tactics. Good thing there's a thing or two about that. He would have liked to prepare better, but things are the way they are. They'll have to make do with what they've got. Just as Zack expected, the blockade gives way under the repeated impacts. The door slams open violently. One of the cabinets flies through the air with such force that it almost hits Zack, who is lying in wait for an ambush. He takes a good look at the enemies, even though deep down in his heart he's afraid of what else he might see. They seem to have him involved even further. They are not like the ones who helped him. They're ugly, twisted, primitive, and are exuding a vile aura of evil beyond anything words can describe. Four of them rush in the room. One of them is about the same size as Zack. The others are much taller, stronger, and can barely be considered human anymore. In an open fight, Zack and his two remaining companions would almost likely draw the shorter straw. Still, Zack keeps a clear head and reminds himself the objective. He firmly plants on his feet on the ground and pounces forward for an attack. So let's save, because this is not going to go well. Yes. Attack the opponent last in line, I think makes sense. I like B in this situation here, I think. A isn't a terrible idea. I mean, though, I could talk myself into all these, to be honest. Because if you attack the strongest one first, if you take him out, then you've opened up the fight. If you take out the smallest one first, which you should be able to do in but one punch, then it's 3v3. I feel like the best way to do a 3v3 would be to attack the last in line. Maybe the human won't notice. So I do like B in this instance, so we'll go with B. This is a go opportunity, and one should be missed. To make most of it, the sneak attack, he should go for opponents he's most likely to hit. Zack swings a makeshift iron crowbar, made from one of those ivy racks at the back of the creature's head. His swing doesn't connect. Jesus. Didn't realize I was playing XCOM. The creature seems startled by the attack that missed merely by a few inches. It shifts his shoulder and knocks away Zack's right hand. Go to hell. Immediately following Zack's attack, his two companions go on the defense as well. They were Short's tallest and largest enemy in an attempt to keep the group rush at bay. This is not going well. The attack success. Although the large creature manages to shake off one of Zack's companions, the combined force of their attacks causes the creature to lose its footing. Zack's other companion instantly sees an opening and takes advantage of the situation. So bodies fall to the ground with a loud thud and twist up into a ball, violently entangled into a fight. After being taken by surprise, the enemies are more focused and aware. The battle's far from over. The enemies have analyzed the situation, and the tide's turned against Zack. The enemies are on high alert, and more agile than expected. Zack is unsure if he can move around them and escape their watchful eyes.
Shit, it's you.
Oh, it's Jeremy, okay. The other enemies have collected themselves and gotten up. Jeremy and Zack both exclaim at the exact same time upon realizing he's getting in front of them. It's not really a surprise. Zack has always been expecting this deep down. If anything, this only serves as a final confrontation. Jeremy seems furious. His whole face is contorted by his angry expression, and he sits to the ground.
Just a fool won't learn his lesson. What the hell are you doing here? Take a wild guess, idiot. Screw you.
There's no time for nonsense. The three enemies have sneakily split off from the group, and they're surrounding Zack's companions. With the brawl still ongoing, it's 3 against 2 at the moment. Zack slips and tries to think about his next move. He has to find a way to get out of the corner, but first he has to deal with the current onslaught of enemies. Accompanied by the 2 accomplices, Jeremy seems intent on making it as hard as possible for Zack. One creature stands right by his side. It's empty. Its empty, cold eyes staring dead ahead at Zack. Another opponent tries to intervene and then tosses on the ground, but Zack's companion steps in, and does his best to hold the line. This is what's come to. The current stalemate won't last for long. Zack doesn't have much time to plan out and prepare. Alex decides to... So, here's what I'm thinking. B is the closest to the objective. C technically probably as well, but our A and B are currently effectively keeping C at bay. If we can take B and then keep A and Jeremy pushed out to the outside and basically have less between them and the objective, that should be a good way to defend here. I don't know if size matters here, is my only concern. And before I attacked the B and missed, but I do like the attack on B here. Just divide the line. Hopefully B is able to stay in C. A and us can keep A and Jeremy from advancing through us, and we can go from there. Zack turns his body sideways towards the medium-sized monster, anticipating its attacks and looking for possible counter-opportunities. The enemies are moving quickly, focusing on their strength in numbers. Jeremy and one of his accomplices are swiftly moving towards Zack, trying to corner him. Punch. Playing by. Zack barely registers the faint shadow moving at high speed. Luckily his head's detected, leaving no weak spots exposed. Feeling right decision without doubt, and a sharp pain is running through Zack's arm. He manages to deflect and bear the brunt of the attack with sheer physical force and willpower. Things only get worse from here. The small monster is caught in a fighting frenzy, unfocused on where it's aiming, and swinging around wildly. What are you looking at? While Zack's distracted, Jeremy senses an opening. He runs up and tackles Zack into the wall. Despite having the same amount of physical strength level, Zack is taken by surprise and overcome by the sheer ruthlessness of his enemy's attacks. Jeremy holds Zack against the wall with an iron grip, grabbing him by the neck and shoulders. Zack's unable to move, and a few punches and kicks he manages to throw up hard enough to make Jeremy lose his grip. However, Jeremy's focused on his vicious attacks, and he doesn't realize that he's standing in the way. Zack's strong companion dodges the monster by taking a step back, while throwing a punch at the same time. The punch itself doesn't cause a lot of damage, but its impact is enough to make the monster topple, allowing Zack's companion to reel back and position himself on top of the enemy. Because of the different size, the monster doesn't free itself. Through smart positioning, by using every available opportunity, the weaker side in this fight is able to pin down the otherwise stronger one. It's a fierce struggle, and there's no telling how long it'll take before things might suddenly switch around. The monster thrashes around violently and hits the floor repeatedly. There's another fight going on where two bodies are still rolling on the floor, each of them trying to gain the upper hand. Zack's companion tries to choke the dog monster, but it's grabbed by the wrist. Neither one wants to show weakness and admit defeat. A little over 40 seconds has passed. The struggle continues, and the group all rages on. Zack is worried, for he knows exactly that as soon as there's a shift in the power struggle and opening is created, the rest of the fight will be over a matter of seconds. The enemy is overrun by attacks, which are fueled by the taste of a possible victory. It can't keep it resist long. How unable to catch a breath, its defense crumbles. At least the vicious battles have been decided. Zack's companion barely manages to stand back up and is breathing heavily, while Monster is lying on the ground, unconscious and foaming at the mouth. Zack's companion is bloodied and bruised. One of the enemies is down for good. Zack observes how the small monster is taking several steps back, distancing itself from the messenger's ball. It's bad, because it hurts a lot. The opponent uses an opening to its advantage and flexes its bulging muscles. As a consequence of a swift, hard kick, Zack's companion is able to restrain the monster any longer, and he's pushed away. The large monster gets up and catches his breath. There's an opportunity for it to get punches in, but it's too exhausted from the previous struggle. The numbers aren't Zack's side any longer. He has to avoid any further defeats if he wants to have a realistic chance of getting through this. Zack grinds his teeth, clenches his fists, and rocks his body back and forth with all the momentum he gathered. Jeremy can't react time to this unexpected, almost self-destructive behavior, and plunges his fist directly into a hard wall. Going the offensive works out very well. Zack instantly sees the opportunity and pushes his arms forward, thrusting Jeremy's hands aside. He firmly plants his feet on the wall, then launches himself at Jeremy without much force he can gather. As far as spatial awareness and actual fighting experiences are concerned, Zack still has the upper hand. Yes! Jeremy jumps back to avoid Zack's powerful leap, which causes the two to switch positions. It's 3 versus 3. Woman is fast. Although the numbers have evened out, this year still isn't looking good. The good news is that the most powerful enemy is down, taking on the biggest risk factors out of the equation. Zack's ambush has been successful so far. Intelligently maintaining control over his enemies and their position is of the utmost importance, especially when there's an obvious difference in strength. Both sides take one to a group, everybody's hurt, panting and checking themselves for injuries, with a fierce fire still burning everyone's eyes. In the movie, this scene probably looked funny, but there is a laugh about for anyone involved in this mess of a fight. Zack knows he can't expect them to suddenly back down. He might be a poor judgment of character when it comes to social interactions, but in a fight he's really good at knowing what's going through his opponent's minds. They've lost their strongest fighter, and even though they have the upper hand, Jeremy's gotta be nervous. But at the same time, he probably knows that's possible for Zack's team to have another ambush lying in wait. All the cards are on the table now. Zack going for the best. They're commencing an attack. Have changed position, Jeremy's no longer going for Zack, but heads for Zack's young companion instead, who's severely exhausted from this fight. The other enemies step in and keep their eyes on Zack. One goes straight to Zack, while the other seems to focus on the weapon Zack's holding in his right hand. Zack decides to he's hurt, right? Because if we lose him, we're outnumbered. I have no fear about A, I have no fear about us. In order to have a chance to turn the tide in battle, Zack decides to do what he can to protect his team. Zack gives up his better defended position instead chooses to move to his young companion's side, ready to accept Jeremy's attack. The small monster suddenly starts making strange noises and disappears off to the side, seemingly unsure about what it actually wants to do. Jeremy pulls out a short, shiny weapon, and at first glance, it looks like a spray knife. A knife that isn't particularly dangerous in close quarter fights, whereas in short range, it isn't an issue. It's still more enough to cause vital injuries. Without saying a word, Jeremy steadily advances towards Zack, making his way through the crowd. Zack knows exactly what Jeremy's thinking. Go straight for the leader, take him out, and it'll be over. Jeremy lifts his arms in an arc to slash downwards as much speed as he can. Zack's prepared and anticipates Jeremy's move, so he manages to swing his weapon upwards, hitting Jeremy before he can attack. There's a painful sensation in his wrist and it feels numb, but there's too much adrenaline rushed through him to care for it right now. The two monsters are rapidly advancing and are already closing on him. Zack twists and turns his body to go with the flow of the enemy's attack, adjusting his stance to counter. His aim is to focus on one thing, disarming Zack. Unable to quickly adapt to the change of stance, it misses Zack and runs past him. The other opponent is much less focused and with no clear plan, only intent on causing damage by whatever means available. It uses its height to advantage and smashes its fist down from above, scraping Zack's ear. Zack's current companion wants to run up to help, but slips and falls in the process. Zack's shoulders are struck, pushing him down and twisting his body around. Zack's whole body feels numb and he's completely weightless for a second. If the angle had been just slightly different, Zack's neck would have snapped, and his head would have been rammed straight to his chest. The force impact is too strong for Zack, and Zack can't hold onto his weapon. It's flung through the air and rolls off to the side. Jeremy clearly seems to have lost in his confrontation with Zack's companion. He dropped his spring knife, which was kicked aside during the fight, which means Jeremy is now unarmed. Hell no. Jeremy's enraged and yells in his frustration. As he attempts to retrieve his knife, Zack's companion steps in and blocks his path. With the opponent standing right in front of him, Zack knows it's possible for him to retrieve his weapon without exploding his back in the process, a mistake he does not make. He assumes a defensive stance and retreats to a more open space in an attempt not to get cornered. The situation is growing more tense by the second, and both parties are more careful in their approach. One wrong, rash decision could mean a sudden end to all of this. Okay, so both sides lost 8, so it's 2v2 now. Oh, never mind. It's not yet. And the situation is delicate. Yeah, what's your angle here, huh? We're trying to pull Zack. Jeremy shouting, his head bright red, both from blood and his temper rising up. Keeping the enemy talking is the right play at this point. There are no more advantages, no opportunities for an ambush. With the fight being as out in the open as it is, it's best to delay as long as possible and hope for the smoke to go off. Zack tries to guess how much longer it'll take. A minute, maybe? He then decides to stall them as long as possible. You idiot. You think I'd tell you? Jeez, you haven't had enough yet? You're us hoping that the beatdown was enough to make you eat those smug words of yours. All this trouble, I'm just trying to make these for you. And don't think for 1 second I'm at least afraid the cops showing up here, or else, or anyone else for that matter. Is that so? Then how about you introduce yourself to your ugly fish buddies here? Sounds like a nice chance for some exposure. You might even make the newspapers. You really didn't call them, did you? Take a while, I guess. Oh, shit. More proof that Jeremy is still the same small-minded idiot he's always been. Zack can't help but smirk a little as he watches Jeremy spew his tired curses. It's a rough world. You can't let things get to you. Zack knows by now. He's gotten under Jeremy's skin, giving him the psychological edge, in this fight at least. While being angry would make Justin more likely to make foolish decisions, it also make him a more predictable opponent. Is it smart to get him worked up? As it turns out, it is not.
You really think this could scare me?
He lifts his jacket slightly and pulls out a small, black object with trembling fingers. Another knife, maybe? Zack squints and tries to make out the object, which is obscured by the dim light. Cold sweat runs down Zack's body.
What the hell are you doing?
A gun. Zack's instincts kick in, though for a second it feels as if his heart stands still. He leaps and rolls, trying to get to cover and out of Jeremy's sight. Driven by a primal survivalist urge, he pulls off a jump that most people think it wasn't possible. This is the first time he's ever seen a gun in real life, which means this game is clearly set in Japan, or not Japan, not America. Alright. This is the first time he's seen a gun in real life. Say what you will about the city's law enforcement, but they're at least doing a good enough job to keep guns out of the hands of juvenile thugs. He has no idea how to deal with the situation, which is why the small and deadly weapon is putting him under extreme pressure right now. By diving for cover from out of the way, Zack's unintentionally opened up the way to his two companions, boldly exposing them. The two enemy monsters sense this opportunity and barge straight to them.
Let go.
Assess the situation.
Oh shit, damn it.
Zack growls because of frustration, not at Jeremy or anyone else about himself for putting everyone in danger.
How about this, huh? Where's the loud mouth ears now?
Jeremy's provocations echo throughout the room. Carefully taking a look, Zack can see Jeremy clumsily loading a gun. Looks of it, Jeremy doesn't unlock his fire alarms either. Until now, the gun must have been empty, which would explain why Jeremy hasn't let off a single shot yet. Zack would have never expected anyone from the circle to be carrying a firearm. The risks and punishments are immense, and Jeremy might have only gotten his hands on recently. Maybe he's reluctant to use it, seeing as there are all kinds of news reports of people badly hurt themselves through accidental discharges and improper handling. And honestly, Jeremy kind of fits that description of people. The fact remains that this small but deadly weapon is now pointed at Zack and his two companions, and could easily take a life within the blink of an eye. The situation's unbelievably dangerous. There's no doubt of it. He's definitely gonna shoot. The atrocities committed in this building are already horrible enough to land everyone involved in jail forever. Yeah, okay. Really good legal system. Maybe that's what Jeremy's telling himself. One additional gun charge isn't gonna make any difference. He's probably scared of the thought panicking, and now he's directing all of that fear at Zack with his gun. The small monster presses all its weight down Zack's strong companion and starts choking him. The enemy clearly has the upper hand. Zack's strong companion thrashes around and aims for the enemy's arms to break the chokehold. Zack's companion can stand his ground, falling temporarily. The numbers here for now, but overall, he's nowhere close to being an even playing field. Zack grits his teeth and attempts to maintain composure and focus. Some things have to be done right away. Otherwise, they're due. Just a smart guy thinks ahead. So he's already escaped the building. At least that's what Zack hopes. Either way, Zack's big decision. He has to make it now. Well, he's got a gun. So you're gonna jump from a bullet, jump for a bullet, or jump from a bullet, or do nothing. That's pretty straightforward, if I'm being honest. It's die, 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 or don't die. Zack lifts up the hospital bed and positions in front of himself. With such a thin mattress, the bed isn't exactly the most optimal for cover. Zack's plan is to avoid giving Jeremy a clear line of sight. With only a limited amount of bullets, Jeremy will have to take his shots carefully, and as long as Zack remains hidden, he should be fairly safe. But as it turns out, Jeremy was a lot dumber than Zack gave credit for. 3 shots ring through the air, but none hit Zack. Either the bed offers more protection than Zack assumed, or he's just in our position at the right time. One bullet was past Zack, so close that it barely missed his forehead. If he needed any more proof that Jeremy is dead serious, this would be it. Right now, the situation's stalemate.
What's the matter, Don? Just come on out.
The shots fired in the air so far. Justin isn't out of the woods yet. Zack ducks down behind the bed and grips the railing so tightly that he almost scratches his paint off of it. Zack grabs a nearby pillow and slowly props it up so that it can be seen easily. Within seconds, the pillow has 2 gaping holes in it. 4 bullets, all of them went to close circumference.
What's the matter, tough guy? Just admit that you're down to step out.
Waste your breath on me. Make me or don't. It's your choice.
Play the badass to your very last moment, huh? Well then, you put yourself into this, don't play me.
Go on then. Bring it. Zack wakes, but no further shots at the bed. Zack begins to tremble as he realizes what's happening. Hey. Zack fires directly at Zack's immobilized companions. Through all this, Zack would have never imagined that Jeremy would stoop so low. With so much, with a body so much stronger than the Archie, it was impossible to withstand such shots of close range. Zack's pain hits the ground, twitching after a few seconds of painful seconds, and stops them altogether.
Get up.
There's no response. Zack realizes how attached he's grown to these people in a short time. They're in this together, fighting the same fight. Zack never, even for 1 second, regrets having helped them. This makes seeing things play out this way even more horrible for him. Fear and anger wash over him, and to an almost paralyzing degree.
That was too easy. How boring.
Jerry gets towards with his feet with no exchange of expression. While he himself is frozen in a spot, Zack can hear Jerry's footsteps. He's walking towards Zack's remaining companion. 7 shots are fired in total. It's difficult to tell whether or not Jeremy is ran out of bullets or not. He stopped firing, he stopped filling his gun, but he could also deploy as well as Zack out. Making a move now, he risks his life, but if he doesn't, Zack is responsible for the death of all his companions. A million voices rage in Zack's mind like a storm, overlap one another. All of them were telling him different things, offering contradicting advice. Impulsive and reckless, he could have never quite understood what people meant when they talked about a dilemma. Now he understands. And there's a smoke. Huh? Not just for it, anyone has a chance to react.
Shit.
Smoke.
Fire?
No, it most certainly isn't fire. Caught in the moment, and immersed in a battle, Zack lost track of time and clearly forgot about what he actually came here to do. After 2 excruciating long minutes, which I've been talking for at least 20 minutes for the Scott scene. Oh god, my throat's killing me. Alright. The chemical reaction is now full effect, and the smoke is starting to develop. Upon witnessing how the smoke is spreading, Zack only now starts to realize how vitally important Nico's advice on treating smoke bombs carefully has been. At this rate, it's not that different from actual explosion. It's done. After this hellish 2-minute journey, it's time to cross the finish line. Smoke's going up the room faster than the eye can see. At this rate, somebody from the outside must have already seen it, and Zack wonders how long it would have taken them to alert the fire department. But now, things happening outside are of no concern to him.
What is going on?
Jeremy raises his arms and orders his 2 helpers to find out what's going on. Zack's good companions try to use the situation to crawl safety and get up, but Jeremy holds him at gunpoint. This is it, opportunity. With more smoke building up by the second, Zack leaves cover and quietly circles around towards Germany. Around towards Germany. Did it again! And quietly circles around towards Jeremy while holding his breath. You're done. There's a hard impact. Zack puts everything he had into a fully powered punch and struck it to the back of Jeremy's head. Jeremy must have sensed something at the very last second. He turns his head to the side, causing Zack to hit him in the neck instead. The impact stuns Jeremy. I can't say Jeremy. The impact stuns Jeremy. The impact stuns Jeremy, despite having deflected it a bit. Zack's companion immediately analyzes the situation. He pushes Jeremy away and crawls towards the area where the smoke bomb is, attempting to stop Jeremy's two monstrous henchmen. That's all you've got? Jeremy is still hurling insults at Zack, even as he's brought down to one knee, fully intent on breaking Zack's grip once for all. Jeremy turns around and aims at Zack's companion Distance, who is still crawling away. Zack's unarmed and is far too away right time. They can't stop Jeremy from firing. Jeremy only has enough time to fire a single shot. It's only a single shot, but that doesn't mean it can't cause devastating damage. A fine mist of mud is... A fine mist of blood is floating through the air around Zack's companion, who was just a few steps short of reaching his goal. No. Loses all sense of self-control, and enraged, Zack rushes towards Jeremy, and delivers a furious hook right to the jaw. This time, Jeremy has time to dodge. The blow to Jeremy's jaw is vicious and almost feels as if he's going to pierce right through him. Zack can feel the strength draining from Jeremy's body and drops to the ground. He got what he deserves. The impact from Zack's hook is enough for his eyes to roll back into his head. Unable to pain, he passes out. Strange grunts come from the two monsters as no happen to Jeremy. They stop their search for the smoke bomb and make their way towards Zack. The monster ignores the floor beds and torn sheets and makes its way through all the obstacles. They are looking pretty grim for Zack right now. There's no distance between him and the two monsters, even with all the scattered furniture and debris in the way. It wouldn't take them more than 10 seconds to maneuver around the obstacles to reach him. For the best, Zack pulls out the pistol out of Jeremy's hand. Looking at it, he realizes it must have sort of extended the magazine. He pulls his finger on the trigger and prays the gun doesn't fail him. Stop. Zack's first shot is aimed on his stomach. 2 more shots follow instantly. Zack's target is so close that it's pretty much possible for him to miss. For the first time ever, Zack experiences what it's like to take a life. Monster's heavy body trembles forward, a big pile of flesh and muscle slumps over and presses against Zack. Getting him off him feels like pushing away a bag of cement. The second attacker follows, giving Zack no chance to catch his breath. It tears away the bed sheets, its feet are entangled, and it throws itself at Zack's chest with a relentless speed. Zack receives a vicious kick to the stomach. For a moment, Zack doesn't understand why some images and lights are flashing by. Then he realizes that he's flying through the air at high speed. The kick catapulted through the door, sent him flying in a dark hallway. The accumulated damage that Zack suffered from far too much to bear. Sharp pain in his back, running down his whole spine. It's almost enough to make him pass out. It's only a question of time, really. He reaches breaking point. Too much has been demanded of his body, and he's already been pushing the limits far too long. Fine spirit won't help if the heart doesn't play along anymore. His eyes are growing heavily, and his senses dull as a strange cool smoke fills his lungs. His enemy seems seemingly unfazed by all this. Mara tries. Zack can't move or even lift up his arms to protect himself. This is the end of the road for him. Well, it is what it is, he thinks to himself. A strange feeling of comfort comforting relief fills him as he comes to terms with the situation, blaming himself for having acted recklessly. At the very last moment, an image flashes his mind, the face he has seen all night. Justin? Oh, only it's real. A large, muscle-bound frame steps over Zack's body and blocks the monster in its tracks. It takes monster to defy monster. Daddy? No response other than a small, reaffirming nod. Planting his feet firmly on the ground, Fatty pushes monster away from Zack inch by inch. Fatty seems to have grown even stronger since Zack last saw him. Zack has trouble thinking, but he can't help but notice the intense aurora of strength around Fatty. Who are you? The difference in sheer power is so big that the difference in height doesn't seem to be a factor at all. Though the enemy seems to be more hateful and driven, that's not enough to make up for its weakness. Standing his ground firmly, Fatty keeps pushing the monster back inside the room at an even pace. Almost in the situation, and not knowing what else to do, the monster pushes its right foot into the ground and throws up its knee, aiming straight at Fatty's stomach. With both his arms and legs busy, there's a chance to Fatty dodge or block the attack. It hits him, but he doesn't make sound. Zack can see Fatty's body shaking as if a shockwave is running through it. But other than that, he doesn't seem to show any reaction at all. Still feeling dizzy, Zack only now realizes what his friend is doing. Don't. His injury erupts in his voice. Through teams pushing and shoving, the two large frames are slowly swallowed by the thick smoke disappearing within it. Thank you, Zack. After that, there's a series of heavy blows and crashes, and... Fatty? Zack opens his mouth. He wants to scream, he wants to shout, but he just can't. A stream of tears is blurring Zack's vision. He hears footsteps approaching in the distance, but he neither has the will nor strength to react. Damn, what's this? That voice, it sounds familiar. Zack lifts his head, but he can't see anything. There's next to no oxygen going through his brain, and he's mere few seconds away from losing consciousness altogether. This is bad. What have you been doing? Come here, let's get out of here. Zack feels nothing but excruciating pain as his body is dragged toward the stairs. Save him. Go on, please save him. Zack can't speak. Salula and Nico are waiting at the rendezvous point. They both look extremely worried. Huge columns of smoke are rising through the air, and loud signs can be heard not too far away. People are gathering around, whispering, exclaiming, come with wild theories about what's going on. One thing seems to be clear for everybody who's watching this building is done for. But in fact, it isn't. The meantime they'd all agreed on has long since passed. Salula's sick with worry because neither Zack nor Justin have come back yet. Let me go back and take another look. This whole situation's a mess, and you'll just attract unwanted attention. If anybody goes, it's me. But you... Or you can both stay here and help me instead. Interrupt the middle of her sentence, Salula can hear Justin's quiet, exhausted voice from a nearby alley. The crowd and sirens are noisy. There's so noisy that she isn't even sure if it's really his voice. As he spots Justin, the reason for his lack of energy becomes immediately apparent. Get him to a hospital, and get him there quickly. Alright, and that works for me, because... my voice is done. So yeah, let's give this episode of Hermitage here. We'll continue on the next one with, the concept of home. But yeah, until then, peace.